Oh, welcome back to the BCS podcast. Today is before Jesus. We're doing the BC podcast. We've got week 11, episode 8. Excuse me. I knew I was going to mess that up. But how are we doing, Mike?
Uh, Pretty good weekend. Like you said, it's the BC podcast for the week, the big two. Unfortunately, we're missing our little brother. He's got other events going on, but I will actually see him this weekend. So
He's claiming that's the case. People are saying James Madison killed him. I would tend to agree with them. But very convenient him to miss Izzo's greatest loss, maybe in his career. Definitely in Zach's lifetime. And I don't know.
You know what? Here's the thing. I will say this. We always see this every year where there's like some random upset that happens. Michigan State will be fine. It's just kind of funny because, I mean, I can tell you Cleveland State beat Syracuse on a half-court buzzer beater like 2 years ago. Or maybe, it might have been like 5 or 6 years ago. And everyone was like, man, Syracuse top 5 team and Cleveland State beats them. No way. And like, I'm pretty sure Zach told me that Wright State beat Michigan State the year the one that they won the national title. So who knows?
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
There I go. But, listen, Michigan, it was funny because, again, I deal with a lot more Michigan State people on a daily basis. And every time you talk smack about football, their exact response was, wait till basketball season. Well, guess what? I waited, and I was very entertained. And then Michigan, who was supposed to be horrific, looked absolutely unbelievable. It couldn't have been a better 24 hours. We had a noted big Michigan or Michigan State fans, that is, on the timeline tweeting about how it's not fair that Michigan's better in both sports. But I think it's very much overreaction. Obviously, it's week 1. And Michigan's going to regress to the mean, and Michigan State's probably going to kill somebody. I know they're playing tonight, I believe. They're playing some fake school I've never heard of. But
I was going to say it's a low-level team, I'm pretty sure. They're playing Southern Indiana, which, here's the thing. I'm pretty relatively uppity up on my college teams.
I never knew that.
Never heard of Southern Indiana.
For me, it's if you're not Ball State or IUPUI or the main schools in Indiana, I don't know who you are.
I really honestly wonder, what division are they?
Probably like 1AA or 2, one of those weird ones.
Are you ready for this one? They're Division 1. They're in the Ohio Valley Conference.
See, that's the problem with conference realignment that I always mention. Yep. A lot of these teams just come to you on. But like when you think the ones in football, you at least know, like Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State, we kind of knew.
Because it's like they announce it and it's always like a big deal, and we can get into conference realignment and the bowl bans later on, because I'd like to gripe about JMU a little bit in their bowl ban.
Now you don't like the NCAA.
It's going to be one of those episodes, I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking. I was like, JMU fans, not only did you help beat Michigan State, for that, you're going to be in our class action lawsuit against the NCAA. No problems, no questions asked. So.
But outside of that, I mean, we can kind of get rolling into college football this past week. What happened?
For sure.
Did you get to watch your game?
So I was in California this weekend. I was able to watch your game because it was at 9:00, which threw me off. I was getting breakfast, and it's like, and here we have kickoff in Piscataway, and I'm like, we have what? I'm like, it's 9 a.m. and it totally threw me off.
I can tell you. So when I went out to the Rose Bowl, we played Oregon in the Rose Bowl when I went, and we woke up and Auburn was playing Northwestern, and it was 8:30 a.m. And because it was the Outback Bowl that kicked off at 11 a.m. Yep. And we woke up and it was midway through the first quarter. And I'm like, wait, what? It's 8:30. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it's great to be on the West Coast, but then it's also not great because you have to wake up early on maybe your day off of work or on a weekend or something like that. So
I had to talk to humans at the bar at night because I couldn't sit in the corner and watch sports. It sucked. I don't know what the hell was going on here, man.
Yeah.
I mean, really. But yeah, it was a pretty interesting game overall. So yeah, I was able to watch the first half basically of the Rutgers game. which was nice for me. I mean, I went out on the water. I didn't have a phone for 12 hours, and I was like, wow, Ohio State was down 9-7. It's great for me. I was able to catch like the second half of the Michigan game into the Colorado Oregon State game. Literally all I was able to watch live. I watched most of the highlights back, but um, yeah, interesting game for you for sure. I guess you obviously go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was kind of like, okay, so we kind of both went 3 and out to start the game. Then we put a nice drive together. I mean, probably one of the better passes I've ever seen Kyle McCord make was a touchdown throw to G. Scott. It was a dot. I mean, he put it back shoulder, put it right in between this window where the defensive player couldn't get to it. And I was like, whoa, G. Scott. He had kind of been shadow banned after the Michigan game last year as far as I was concerned. It was unforgivable what he did. And I'm sure you remember he might've headbutted someone. Yeah, so it was good to see that. Overall, I mean, obviously there was the pick right before the end of the half. Bad on Kyle. And then you come out the second half, and it was like, Rutgers is driving down the field, and they're driving down the field. And then the play that pretty much just like – it was like a weird kind of game where it was like, okay, I was never nervous about the game or the outcome. I was like, 9-7.5, like we'll make adjustments. It's okay. We have the talent. We'll get the ball to Marv, things like that. And then they were like in the red zone, and I'm like, maybe we need to get a little nervous if they score a touchdown here because they hadn't moved the ball all day. In the second half, they came out and they moved it right down the field in that first drive. And then we had the pick six. We forced them into a punt. And then we went right down the field, scored a touchdown again. It was kind of more of I would say you got the first downs when you needed it. There was also a play that I really liked. We actually went under center and did a quarterback sneak with Kyle McCord this week, which
whoa.
Whoa. I know. And you know what the best part?
It went for a few yards. Yeah,
the best part about it was
3-4 yards.
I believe the S is here now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just messaged.
Perfect. Keep going.
But anyways, I kind of felt like it wasn't the greatest game by Kyle McCord, but there was a lot of drop passes. His line there's still problems with the line. Simmons he's just not cutting it, in my opinion, to a certain extent. But look, overall, do I give us an A+ grading for the game? No. Do I give the defense A+ grading for the game? For the most part, yes. Just to remember, the line was 18.5 when the game started. The final was 35-16.
I'm aware.
Some people took Ohio State to cover, so I was pretty happy. And you know what? Here's the thing.
Disgusting behavior.
I know in the podcast last week, I said we wouldn't cover, and I got all the way to Sunday or all the way to Saturday, and I go, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. I mean, look, we found a way to cover. I know we scored right at the end of the game. I mean, what did you want us to do? There was 2 minutes left and it was 3rd and goal. So, but here's the other thing. Marvin Harrison got his touchdown. I mean, the dude just knows how to find the end zone. I'll just say that.
Yeah, dazzling Heisman numbers, 4 catches, 20 yards.
2 touchdowns.
At least it solves your red zone issues. It's fine.
And that's the thing. No Devin Brown again. Solve the red zone issues. People can say what they want about Kyle, but Kyle this past week was 19-26. 4 of those were drop passes. This offense runs through Travion Henderson. Look, it wasn't a great game, but it was a 35-16 win. Rely on the defense, special teams, great punting. I mean, outside of that, you can kind of I would like to stay on something, though. Our punter, he needs to not call an audible into a fake punt.
Yeah, what's
which
up with you guys running fake punts
which
against your
which
boyfriend Shiano? I mean, it's kind of disgusting.
okay, so I'm do you remember last year's game, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Our punter literally did that on his own. And from
Oh,
the
it was an
and from
audible. We're throwing the punter on the bus for faking a
no,
punt up 50.
the punter is even come out and said it. Mirko ran it on his own. And from
Yeah,
what
did you get
I
a wide angle shot of Ryan Day with a gun to his head?
and from what I've understood is that the punter ran a fake punt again because Ryan Day was about ready to just kill somebody, it looked like. And Mirko went off to the sideline and sat by himself. And Ryan Day went over to him and literally was yelling at him. So I'm not quite sure what was called, but that's when I was like, look, why are we putting our defense in a bad situation? I mean, at this point in the game, it's 7-3, and they weren't moving the ball on us. And then we held them to a field goal again. And then Kyle threw the pick. And it was like the end of the half was just an absolute, like, it was an unraveling. And if we're playing a team that had a competent, that could have scored on our defense, I'm not even saying competent. I'm saying scored on our defense because I don't think a lot of people scored on our defense. That game could have been 21-7 at half Rutgers.
It should have been, honestly. Their red zone offense, I don't know what they were doing. Obviously, your defense is very good. And people, and me being honest, it's a very good defense. But 3 field goals as a 3 touchdown underdog at home inside the 4 yard line. They were all like 20-yard field goals. Disgusting.
Well, it was a 19, a 20, and a 21-yarder. That was it. Why didn't they go for it? Why didn't you go for it?
We said it last week on the podcast with Cal, right?
Yeah.
I think the fans are the same way. I'd much rather you send it once because odds are you go for it 3 times, you're going to get at least once, and you'll be tied. The pick was interesting. I thought that was very clearly targeting because the Proctor dude looked like he died when he went in there and took his head off, but it is what it is. And then, but listen, after we now know that Ohio State and Shiano are holding hands to try to stop the mighty Michigan machine, it kind of checks out.
I mean, I'll just say this: the pick, you can say it was.
He killed him.
But he didn't leave his feet, and he went kind of chest first. He didn't go helmet first.
Dude was like knocked out on the field.
Proctor was knocked out. Proctor's the one who got hurt.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Proctor got hit in the shoulder. That's why.
You get knocked out from shoulder hits now.
He did not get knocked out, but he got hurt, yes.
I mean, Buddy was doing the stanky leg in 2023 unironically.
I'm just saying. I thought
I'm sitting in the airport watching the highlights and just go targeting, and some person next to me's like,
okay. So here's the thing, and I'll say this. This is how I know it wasn't targeting, because they reviewed it on CBS multiple times. They reviewed it upstairs, and they would have called it down. But the reason I know it wasn't is because Gene Steratore, who literally gets every one of these targeting calls correct. I don't understand how he does it because I've disagreed on him with like every single one. He was like going, this is not targeting. He did not launch. He did not leave his feet. He did not hit helmet to helmet. He hit shoulder to helmet. That's how I know it wasn't targeting, because Steratore is like the definition of on point with the targeting calls. Now, the announcers, they wanted a targeting all day. They were terrible. I forget who was announcing our game.
Bro, I have no idea. I didn't listen to the audio.
I think Jay Feely might have been honestly announcing one of our games. I think he was in. But
we've only got our good friend Zach here for a few minutes, so we'll bring him on. I mean, his team finally got a win. First Power 5 win. Way to start off November. What do we got here, Mr. Zach?
What's up? So we're just heading to the Red Wings. Shout out to the Red Wings game. Stopped in a couple minutes because I'm all over the place. Soon I'll be in Columbus. We'll be all over the place this week. But yeah, nice win, 20-17. Kind of mixing it up a little bit. My bet of a touchdown by each team and a field goal by each team in each half got ruined because Nebraska didn't know how to move down the field in the second half. 10 points from them in the first half and 7 points from them in the second half. I don't think our defense could have played much better. And I can't believe I'm saying that, which we have now moved up from hundreds to now 40-something in the defensive categories in the country, which is a huge improvement based on what we got. The nice part was 2 field goals from Jonathan Kim, one from I think 50, somewhere in the 50s, and a couple touchdown passes, one from Peyton Hauser to Christian Fitzpatrick, his first of the year, and then a beautiful pass that was debatable if it was caught or not, from Sam Levitt to Montour, I believe. Yep, and held him to. And they was beautiful.
I'm sure Blake was getting the same Snapchats I was getting from Zach during the game, going, "This is pain. This team brings me pain." So,
because it
went out and you're in a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean,
went out.
Okay. It just makes me very disappointed that we had 2 very winnable games in Iowa and Rutgers, and we just couldn't capitalize in the fourth quarter. I mean, we were getting outscored. I think in the fourth quarter we're getting outscored like 118-40 or something right now. It feels like to finish a game, play 4 full quarters, even though it is Nebraska, but it's kind of good, especially leading into. I saw a huge switch on the field on who we started. We took off a bunch of kind of older juniors, seniors, and started more freshmen and sophomores. Huge day out of Jordan Hall again, as always. And there's a lot of hope that going into the future with whoever's the head coach, we can see a little bit of this talent used in the proper way, because of the fact that there is talent there. It's just, is it being utilized to its full capacity? And that's the question. Because we do have, a couple good recruits at all different positions that in the right schemes, I mean, heck, we'd be at 5 wins right now, looking for a 6th win with
oh boy.
Listen, man, the Wi-Fi down in Detroit. I'm sure we'll have to pop back in. Oh, there he is. You're good. Yes.
Okay, we're good. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, looking forward to going to Columbus. The Cozy hates hearing it, but the last two times split apart by 1 year that the Ohio State Buckeyes were number 1 in the country in November when they hosted Michigan State. They've lost both games. So we shall see what happens this weekend.
Listen, it's nice to hear a Michigan State person say they want to win this weekend. I haven't seen one on any social media app out there. It's usually Michigan fans rooting harder, but at least Zach's out there doing it. I appreciate it.
Hey,
obviously, the real Spartan.
Hey, if there is if Marv only has 40 receiving yards again, there's a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Highly unlikely he doesn't have less than 125, but you never know.
It's a good thing I'll make my prediction on your game later when you're not on here. So, but other than that, we did a quick touch on basketball right before we hopped into it.
Yep.
You really screwed my narrative. I said that you rage quit and you weren't on here because of James Madison, but here you are to face the music potentially.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate game to start off our season. You cannot shoot 1 for 20 from 3 and miss 14 free throws and expect to win a game against a gritty team that is looking to make a tournament. They're projected
to win. Are they even allowed to make a tournament? I know their football team isn't.
They are in basketball. They're projected to. Hey, that might change. They're under looks for that. And there's also
you like the NCAA too now. Oh, interesting how we all work on this.
There is a rule that if there's not enough bowl eligible teams at 6 wins, they can make a bowl game still. And so right now,
sounds like a technicality or a gray area. Interesting.
So I want to debate this real quick. If there's not enough teams to have 6 wins and JMU goes undefeated,
they should be in the New Year's Six bowl.
Do they get a New Year's Six bowl?
I think so. I think that's how.
As someone, there's an easy out is you can just add them into the playoff and circumnavigate everything. That being said, as a big Liberty fan, JMU die, death, get out of here. Let's go Flames.
Ooh.
I would also like to mention
my fantasy quarterback is Caden Salter. He's like the second best fantasy player out there behind Penix. All right, listen, let me cook.
I'd also like to mention while we're on this, Jed Fish, legendary coach in the making at this point, beats everybody. What can he not do at this point?
They called me a madman.
He has only lost to one. He has only lost to one ranked team by 7 points, and it was Washington in regulation. The other two he's lost in overtime. He is turning this program around.
You know what he can't do?
America's team is cooking every week, and I'm here for it.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You know what he can't do, Zach? He
can't
get out of the buyout. He can't get out of the buyout because Arizona's not going to pay him his money.
Yeah, I read about that today. It should be interesting.
How do you lose $250,000? Oh, my God.
Yeah, how do you lose $250,000 and then have to come out and say, yeah, we should probably shut down our athletic program?
Yeah.
There's much easier ways to raise money.
By the way, I'm sure the Big 12 loved hearing that, too.
Yep. Not even them, Arizona State, too. They're like, uh-oh. But,
so,
listen. Some fake media members, Justin Spiro, like to claim they know what's going on in Michigan State, okay? Some of us have the same amount of sources as him, which is 0, and we guess and get it completely right. Mr. Fish, when he is the coach, I would like to get a per at Blake Stagpool. Just put that out there.
Yeah, Blake is the one that said, Jed Fish, Michigan State head coach, 3 weeks ago.
It started as a joke, and it's totally going to be him or the Clausen dude from Wake Forest.
No, it's not going to be a Clausen dude.
Listen, I think he'd be all right. I'm being dead serious. I think
nobody that's openly supporting Michigan this hard is going to be Michigan State's head coach.
Yeah, that part was great. I like that part was even better.
I think that the one thing that we do have to touch, is basketball. Unfortunate loss. Bounce back tonight against Southern Indiana, I believe.
Did you know they're D1? We were Googling that.
D1.
Yes, they went from D2 to D1. Yeah.
There you go.
So, bounce back tonight. I don't know if Tyson Walker's going to play. We should see what happens. He's questionable. He's just got a shin splints or something, so they're going to rest him, probably only limit him to 20 minutes or less.
Shin splints.
Yeah, the way he landed last game, he fell on his shin, and I don't know.
And to touch on it real quick, we will be going to see actually a real college basketball team tomorrow night.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. We're gonna go see. We're gonna go
Michigan Youngstown.
We're going to sit in the quietest college basketball arena in America.
Chrysler?
That Ohio State thinks they play basketball.
No.
You can put an NBA game in there.
We put Chrysler to shame. We put Chrysler to shame for quietest basketball arenas. Trust me, the shot is I call it the morgue. You're going to see.
I'm not kidding. You might be the first person I've ever met in my life that acknowledges your basketball program. It's really weird how your football fan base works, that like 95% of them, for some reason, are Lakers, Duke, Yankees fans. I don't know how that works, but it's crazy.
That is not true, but.
Predictions for this weekend. I want to make a couple predictions.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Fully go into it because I'm going to hop out of here in a second. I think the big game I'll touch on last, but I think that reasonably Ohio State's just the number 1 team in the country, and Marv's going to prove why he should be part of the Heisman race this week. Probably 47-10. Probably, I would say something there. And then the big game, I would like to just say that I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game. Middle of the pack, low-scoring in the first half. The defenses are going to feel each other out and try to figure out what's going to work and what won't. I do think that we're going to have points in the third quarter, more points than any defense has scored on either team all year. Upset this week, I could see it going either way, where Michigan, pulls away at the end and wins like 30-20. But my prediction I'm going with is 26-24. Penn State wins on a last-second field goal at the end of the game. I think it's going to be very tight. I think some Michigan people are overlooking Penn State's defense because even though they lost to Ohio State, they only gave up 20 points. And in my opinion, the top 3 most electric wide receivers in college football, and to hold a team with him to such little scoring, I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring than that, but I think that they're going to rattle Michigan a little more on the road than people expect, and it's going to be a close game all the way through. Now, I only think that we might see 1 touchdown and 1 field goal most in the third quarter, and most of the scoring is going to be kind of in that fourth quarter right at the end. But I don't think it's going to be a crazy. I mean, the total I think is set at 45, and the spread is like what 3 or 4. I think that we could see if it's set to 4, maybe a Michigan like late touchdown wins the game, but I think it's close. I think it's very close, but I got Penn State winning, pulling the upset that nobody expects this week.
I haven't heard a person predict Michigan that's not a Michigan fan, so I think we're the underdog.
Yeah,
Continue.
I don't know.
I mean, I might have said 45-7 in a certain group chat. I don't know.
Michigan?
Yeah.
I mean, I could definitely say that.
He said 45-7.
Let's be honest. Penn State's not a good football team. How many points did Ohio State even leave on the board? You guys got queued at the goal line and left at least 2 touchdowns on the board. Like, if Penn State had maybe a 5% chance of winning that game at any point.
The thing I think that's different from Ohio State to now this Michigan game is, first off, it's at home. Second off, they have nothing else to play for this season unless they win this game. I mean,
and I just think that people are acting like, imagine if you're in a locker room and you're just doing your thing and someone's like, the only reason any of you are even existing is because you've been cheating your entire time. This is the biggest opportunity to prove everyone wrong. I mean, this team is going to be the most motivated team in the history of mankind. They're going to go out there and they're going to kill people. I mean, I would take the under on points, on punts, the under on kicking points. We're going for it on every 4th down. We're going for 2 every time. Just being on. And again, who's the coach of the other team? Let's be serious here. We're a top 5 team.
Yeah.
We cannot beat anyone in the top 5. Let's just be serious.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think it sucks though that it's a noon game, and I will agree with everybody in the world on that.
I think it's a great idea. It's a noon game.
If they just held this off for next year, which you play Penn State next year, correct?
Nope, we don't play Penn State till 2025.
Okay. So I think that the next time you'll see this game is probably a 3:30, maybe a night game.
It's going to be a 3:30 on CBS.
I think 3:30 would have been the perfect time slot. I think that would have got more people motivated. I mean, it's going to be a highly watched game, but I think that would be the most watched game probably of the day by far. If they put it at
the thing that people don't understand Big Noon is no other conference goes to Big Noon. So everyone from the West Coast to the South all tunes into Big Noon, and it's the number 1 watch game almost every time, barring some crazy game. Like, think about it last time. People in Michigan were watching the Michigan game. What other game was on? LSU, Alabama was on, and so was USC Washington. Like, there's 3 games. Obviously, Michigan game was dog shit, but like, there's 2 games you could pick between, and that kills viewers, right? Because like everyone's like, shoot. I mean, most people that actually care about the sport have at least 2 or 3 viewing surfaces, monitors, whatever. But like that splits up viewership. Like I'm trying to even look at what I don't even know what other games are at noon this week.
I mean,
probably like some ES game.
Yeah, I mean the viewership is definitely like they're winning the viewership there, and they're smart about it. They're definitely like that they know what they need to win and succeed, and they've literally just been like, you know what, we're gonna put our biggest game that we can choose at noon, and they're saying we're winning this time slot. I agree, it does suck, but like if you go look at it at noon, you have Alabama at Kentucky. Maybe you can kind of talk about that. Your other games are Texas Tech at Kansas, Tulsa and Tulane, and that's it. That like everything else is just kind of crap, honestly.
Yeah, they kind of lowered the afternoon like late this week.
But America's team plays at 2 p.m.
Look
against the Buffs.
JJ will not be playing in the 4th quarter when we're up too much, so everyone can go tune on and watch America's team. I will try to stream it if I can. It should be an empty stadium by then. I will be cheering on our Arizona team as their Pac-12 title hopes are still alive.
They are still alive, which is crazy to say at this
very hard for it to happen, but very alive.
Are we actually going to just jump to Ohio State, Penn State predictions right now?
I predict Ohio State to win. What is it? 20 to 13, 20 to 12.
Sorry,
20
Michigan.
to 12.
My bad. Shut up. My Michigan Penn State prediction.
What you went by? What was it? I don't even remember, honestly.
Are we ready to jump into Michigan Penn State predictions since Zach gave his?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? We can jump out of order. Do you want me to go? Or you want to go?
You can go first.
Okay, sweet. So we kind of saw this. Penn State kind of reminds me of like the super good Maryland. This probably might end up biting me here. Let me cook for a minute. They're very clearly the third best team the last 2 or 3 years, right? We can all kind of agree on that. And every year, their season goes to die whenever they play one of us two first, right? Every year it's cute, right? It's kind of like Maryland. It's always like whoa, this is the year James Franklin can finally do it. He's not overrated. He's properly rated. Dude, like, that's just like talking down to him, all right? And I just think that again, last year, I think, did we play him first or did you play him first last year? I don't remember. I think we did.
I think you guys did, and then we kind of...
And they came in and we ran right through them, and we beat them by 30. And people were like, I'm predicting us to win by 38-17 my prediction. I'll just get ahead of it. And everyone's like, that's such a crazy prediction. I'm like, we have beaten you by more than that, more than not, in the times we've played you guys. Obviously, it's on the road, which is a bit different, but we beat you with Cade Macnamara on the road last time. Even Sparty beat us. Like, what are we doing here? So when you're looking at, like, offense and defense, I mean, everyone's like, Ohio State's defense is really good. Michigan, metric-wise, is right there in every metric. Obviously, we haven't played nearly the competition Ohio State has, if I'm being deadly honest. But we're averaging, like, outside of, if you extrapolate, seriously, the last offensive play of who everyone Michigan's played, we averaged 3 points a game, right? Purdue backdoored the hell out of us last time. Bowling Green kicked a field goal as time expired. So did ECU. Like, it's hard to do anything else, right? And they're already having troubles running the ball. You want to talk about Michigan having trouble running the ball? It's because we've been able to throw it. I think it's Nick Singleton's over-under for rush yards at 40 yards. Okay? Like, this is not this elite, vaunted offensive line that they've talked about. And Olu got ran over in the Ohio State game a few times, okay? Granted, their edges are a bit better, I would say, up top. Michigan has like 4 or 5 deep at every position in defense. Thankfully, that we've at least been rotating at defense. You know, like half these guys, we've got pros that are like just not even playing as much as they should be just because we haven't had to play people yet. And I just think that we have the first time I can remember Michigan's a multidimensional offense. And if we can't run, which I don't even know if we've even like tried super hard to run, because we're trying to play the long game with Bryce Underwood. If you're throwing the ball, like, I mean, I think JJ could easily throw for 300 if we're having no problem with the run here. I mean, McCord played okay against Penn State. Half the time, there wasn't even a person in the screen looking at like Marvin Harrison, and very, very clearly, no one's on Marvin Harrison's level. Let's be honest. I know I was trolling on Twitter, and I was bored before a flight and wanted to troll. Right, that's my thing. And it was like, look, dude, I don't know how they're going to stop us. I think it might be kind of like a Michigan State type thing with the tight ends, where they're going to be trying to blitz and stop the run. I think I said at the time, where you could very clearly see that Michigan State was sending everyone in every gap. Like, they're not running on us. And we couldn't run on Michigan State for the most part, right? Orgy was at the end, but a quarterback run obviously is completely different. We've got to get into that. I think the tight ends are going to eat. I think we'll have a few deep shots. And again, this team is going to be so pissed off. Imagine you're Jim Harbaugh, man. And the NCAA said you're clear. We don't even have to get into the semantics of it. I would imagine tomorrow they're going to try to drop a suspension on us so Michigan can't sue them on a federal holiday. I think that's going to be their metrics. Listen, also here at Michigan, we respect veterans. Shout out to veterans. Veterans Day, Connor Stallions, American hero. It is what it is. The NCAA wants to weaponize a federal holiday. Be my guest. But getting back into the actual game of it all, similar to what we saw last year at the Penn State game, Michigan was super vanilla and boring. I don't think everyone remembered that Michigan was just bludgeoning people. I mean, JJ threw for like 1,000 yards through his first like 8 games last year. We were just one-dimensional. I think we've been saving everything for this game. I don't think we put anything on tape. Ohio State, you know, obviously was able to help us with the tape, and we can now see everything that Penn State's tried to do. Sure, Drew Ellis at home, but, you know, everyone's like, wow, did you see how he turned it? He turned the page against Indiana, and he turned the page against Maryland. It's Indiana and Maryland. Like, what the hell are we doing here? There is a whole different threshold of Ohio State and Michigan. All right. And Penn State has never gotten to that threshold in recent history, being like, 3-4 years. And obviously, you know, the only win I think that they've had over us recently was during COVID. Whatever. Like, it is what it is. We couldn't duck them too. We had to pick one team to duck. Okay, listen, tactical ducking. All right, everyone does it. But X's and Y's. Their defense is good, yes, but I think that our defense is going to have us with either short field or their defense is going to be on the field for a long time, gassed. And I think that that'll be why we're going to slow them down. And I don't listen. I'm setting myself up for like the ultimate, like getting this thrown back in my face. But I've watched enough football and realized that this isn't when we lose. Like if there's a heartbreaking, crazy loss, it'll be in the playoff again. It'll be funny. But I think that this is going to be like wait a minute. Maybe they are a good team that happened to be doing some shady shit on the side. But this whole narrative that we should be banned from the playoff, I would not be surprised if Michigan is ranked number 1 after this week. Just putting it out there.
Okay, so I'd like to say first off, big shout out to Mark Yinzer Lion, and big shout out to TK. They're going to be at the game. Be loud, guys. Be super loud this week. Keep it going.
Especially on third down. Give them the signals. Be loud on third down.
That guy. Listen, if your coach is making memes like that, I don't know how much more bulletin report. I mean, I think we have like 8 or 9 bulletin reports out there, but come on, keep going. I want to see Drew Aller that scared, like, oh my God, I'm going to die face. He had the entire time in the shoot. They panned him, and he was like, his bottom lip was quivering. Come on, grow up.
So be loud on third down, especially, and get there early. Just remember, get there early.
It was so cheesy, but it was kind of funny at the same time. I was like,
gross.
They're just totally.
Also, big shout out to Kansan, Todd Winger, all Penn State fans, all great people.
Shout out to Big Chap.
What's happening.
Shout out to Big Chap, just cause.
Yeah, because they're all great guys. Like I don't know one Penn State fan I hate. They're all great guys. Yeah. Even they know what's happening.
And you know what? I went over this game a lot on paper, on watching games, watching things like that. The only way Michigan loses this game is if JJ plays like he has the last 2 weeks and they shut down your run game.
And turnovers. I think turnovers are key. Because Michigan hasn't turned over the ball.
JJ has not looked amazing the past 2 weeks. He is not.
Well, he had a bye week. The week before, he had 380 yards and 4 touchdowns against Michigan State. And last week, he threw for 330 yards.
Yeah, and also he just hasn't looked. He still had a low completion percentage for the most part. I don't know. He just didn't impress me against Purdue.
There was a couple quarters, aka I would say the second quarter, that was.
I'll say this. He has not looked perfectionist the past 2 games he's played. Look, I get he blew everybody out of the water. He threw for all these yards. His decision making was kind of like more like a Bowling Green kind of game for decision making than it was other games where he's been just a perfectionist, things like that. If he has a Bowling Green style game, you let Penn State hang around. I'm not saying you guys are going to lose, but if you go out there,
throws 3 picks, we're losing.
If he throws 3 picks, you're definitely losing. But here's the thing, and this is going to be the main key to it. Your defense last week probably had its worst game against Purdue. I think it was a little bit of a letdown. It was also Purdue who, look, I don't even think I would have been up and excited for a 7:30 kickoff against Purdue.
Okay.
Like after the first 5 minutes of the game, I was like, this is boring. I don't even want to watch this anymore. But it's Michigan, so I wanted to watch it. And and it was like, I didn't want to watch the score fest out there on the West Coast called Washington to USC, where there was just no defense.
Hey, it was a great game.
And
I was with the group of all Michigan alumni on the boat I stayed with. They turned it off too. All right. So
I wanted to watch the rivalry. But you know what? I actually do think JJ has an average game. I think it's very close, and I'm going Penn State 23-20. But here's the thing. I'm more confident in my joking prediction of 45-7 than I am even Penn State 23-20.
Like 45-7 Michigan, or
45-7 Michigan. Yes,
he totally said 45-7 Michigan today.
I'm more confident in that it could end up like that than a 23-20 Penn State win. I just think everything goes Penn State's way, and I'm just going to say it. And I'm going to pan out there right now. You, Blake, are not going to be happy with the officiating on Saturday.
Oh, I said this.
Okay.
I don't know if I said it in the chat or earlier, but if you look at what happened in Bedlam,
you
thought
might
that was bad?
10 times worse.
Oh man.
Which
thought that was bad officiating. Michigan is going to get 0 calls.
We will get to Bedlam at some point, but yes, you're not getting any calls.
We're not going to get suspended by the NCAA, but they are going to have, and the same with the Big Ten. But we're out here cucking them in the legal court and on the line. They're going to get their get back on the field.
Yeah, there's going to be some very
phantom holds, pass interferences.
Now, if it doesn't go like that, and you guys get calls, and because you've gotten calls in the past against Penn State before.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing, because the Big Ten has been like, oh man, like we got to have Ohio State, Michigan undefeated at the end of the season.
It could be 1-2 this year.
Yeah, and it could be, and it would be great for the Big Ten, but I really don't think the Big Ten wants that at this moment, because if you lose and you were to lose to Ohio State, the Big Ten doesn't have to worry about everybody going, oh my gosh, Harbaugh suspension now. Why didn't you do it now? Why didn't you do it now? Everyone forgets about it. It goes away. It literally goes away. So I think there's a lot of phantom calls. I think that McCarthy, like I said, has a pretty average day. And I could obviously eat my words, but I just think that it's going to come down to the erector set is going to shake. And Blake, have you ever been to Penn State?
Nope.
Okay. Where are you sitting in the upper deck?
Oh yeah, I'm in the white section.
Okay, I'm just letting you know. The stadium's not going to fall down and crumble down.
I've heard things worse than jump around at Camp Randall.
Oh, it's 10 times worse than jump around in Camp Randall. The stadium is not going to fall down. You will be okay.
I'll sue him if not.
Just don't be alarmed. You're going to feel like you're on a roller coaster that's shaking and it's going to go down. Like that is how I felt like the first time it happened. I kind of looked at myself and I was like, how is this stadium still standing? So just get ready. I think the erector set, as I like to call it, because when you pull up to it, it literally looks like an erector set, not a stadium, and it will shake.
Like one of those container stadiums they had in the World Cup. They just set up 5 and 4
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. And I'm telling you right now, it is an awesome scene to be at. I think it's going to shake, and I think that the defense for Penn State just plays out of their minds. I don't even think Alar has that great of a day. For his standards, he has a great day, because I don't think he is that end-all, be-all great quarterback. He found his mojo against Maryland. So we're going to find out. I just think
Maryland.
I think 23-20. So,
my brother, did anyone not watch the Indiana? Oh.
But anyways, outside of that, I mean, Zach, do you got anything else? Because I think you're probably going to the hockey game here soon.
No, I'm good. I'm heading out. As always, let's have some good football this weekend. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
There's a couple of games that I'm very excited for. Ole Miss Georgia is one of them. Just going to kind of keep track while we're at the game. And it should be a good weekend. Hopefully everything goes to plan for some people, maybe not for others. And as always, we'll go Lions this weekend. We got a big one. So let's keep on rolling.
All righty.
Not those Lions, Blake. The actual Lions.
See you tomorrow, Zach.
See you guys.
Yeah. Anyways, quick rundown. I'll just give a quick rundown of games that I saw. Luke Fickell kind of blew it against Indiana. Somehow Indiana beat Wisconsin 20-14 in what was, I've been told, one of the worst coach games on offense by a Wisconsin team in a long time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you lose that. Then you kind of got the shocker, Illinois, Minnesota. Illinois is they're kind of kicking out there in the West. They're showing some fight. And then Penn State, they showed finally they have an offense. Alar looked really good actually against Maryland. Maryland, they are the definition of just not good right now.
They're the Cliff Kingsbury Cardinals. The new college comes out. Think about it. The last 3 or 4 years, they were like undefeated going into the bye week. Then they lost the Lions like 2 years ago, and they lost 6 straight. Well, we're 9-0, 9-6. Boom. You're gonna blink, and this team's gonna be 7-5.
And then we come to the top game of the week at Wrigley Field at 3:30 kick, or was it a 4 o'clock kick? I think it was 4 o'clock kick.
2:30 local.
2:30 local. Okay, so 3:30 kick between Iowa and Northwestern. Now, this game, both quarterbacks under 100 yards passing. Iowa as a team eclipsed 100 yards rushing. Northwestern still had under 100.
The passing leader was 81 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
That's most drives for our school.
So Northwestern had 170 total yards. Iowa had 169. They combined, and I'm not reading this wrong, 10 for 29 on third down. There was only one turnover, and it was an interception by Iowa. I mean, you could not have scripted a worse game. And let's just go to the play sheet, because this is where we get real great. To start the game, punt, miss field goal, punt. An interception thrown by Iowa. Punt, end of half. Hawkeye Matt, that is your dream half. Congratulations on all your punts. And then start second half, there was a punt. But then something magical happened. Iowa scored a touchdown on a 7-play, 25-yard drive, because there was a very good punt return / it was a punt blocked.
Was it a fair catch?
No, they punt blocked. They had a block. Forgot they had the block punt. And then let's just put it this way. Northwestern actually had a good drive on the day. Yes, I know, shocking. That started from their own 33-yard line and got down to the 2-yard line for a first and goal at the 2-yard line. Yes, 2-yard line. They ran the ball 4 times up the middle and did not score. Now, why?
At least they went for it.
What'd you say?
I said at least they went for it.
Well, yes, but do you know why? Part of the reason why they didn't score? Because at the goal line was where the pitcher's mound was. And there was a massive hole to where the lineman could not dig in and get any push at all to go forward.
Are we being serious?
I'm being serious. I watched the game. And when Iowa took the ball over, they would run up the middle the other way for a yard gain, and they had to stop the game and put dirt down to continue the game.
Oh, Lord.
Now, the other thing is Iowa then shot themselves in the foot, because then they had that god-awful 37-yard punt that was returned to the Iowa 22-yard line, and then Northwestern tied the game. Now, Iowa kicked a field goal to win the game at the very end, so I guess that whole downs at the goal line didn't really matter or anything like that, but they kicked the field goal, and I don't know if you saw it, it went through the uprights and over the right field wall for essentially a 3-run home run, and they ended up winning 10-7.
There was a few World Series games that had more runs than this game had points.
The Cubs in a game at Wrigley this year scored more runs than points in one game. They scored 20 runs against the Reds in one game at Wrigley this year. There was 17 points total. Can we stop playing those games at Wrigley? I know you have the appeal there, things like that. But when you have linemen who can't get their feet in the trenches and push,
especially in that type of game,
push forward to a 7. Like, it was literally right at the goal line too. I just was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just stop playing games at Wrigley. That's all I'm going to say. End of it. It was one of the worst games I've ever watched. I watched a decent amount of it, especially the second half. I'm not sure why I did, because I mean, I had Bedlam going as well at the same time, which that game, we can get to that.
Go for it. Let's go right into it.
Bedlam. Terrible officiating. Screwed Oklahoma over. Pretty much gave Oklahoma State the game.
I mean, I only saw the clip. Stoops got murdered.
Yep. Pretty much. I mean, you pretty much had it right down to the wire. And I mean, you can say incomplete pass, or you can say it happened I think it happened on like third down or something, or second down, maybe
3rd and 14 or something.
Yeah,
and
something like that. Yeah, it was pretty bad, which should have probably honestly given Oklahoma the lead, because they would have got a 1st and 10 at like I want to say it would have been half the distance to go, like the 12. They probably would have scored a touchdown.
And taking more time off, important.
Yeah, and taking more time off. And then here's the thing. So, I mean, Oklahoma State, like, they're not a bad team compared to like early in the season. Mike Gundy might be Big 12 Coach of the Year. His team is crap. He has no quarterback. They only
whoa.
Oh,
Michigan legend Alan Bowman.
Oh man,
I think he threw 3 passes last year. It was 2 incompletions and a pick.
I mean,
against Rutgers, he came in at the end, and we had no turnovers for the first 7 games. He threw a pick his first pass, and everyone's like,
I will say this. The crowd, though, for Oklahoma State was probably one of the best crowds I've ever seen Oklahoma State have. And they've had some classic games there. But that place was absolutely rocking all day long. Major props to the Pokes fans. They showed up, they shelled out, and they look pretty damn good as far as overall team goes. But still, once again, like I said, get ready for it this week, Michigan, because Oklahoma got screwed. And it was pretty much, hey, you want to leave our conference? We're not going to give you any calls. Now, I will say, though, there was a call in the Kansas State-Texas game, which we can go into that was just horrific towards Texas. I mean,
well, their playoff hopes are still alive. I think that's part of the issue there.
Possibly. Once again, Texas, though, blowing a just god-awful, like, just blowing up. I mean, they pretty much had – I mean, they were on during our game, and I remember seeing the score, and I was like, oh, man, this game's over with. Like, there's no – like, Kansas State.
I Kansas State +4, and as I saw your game, I left to go in the water. I went, damn it, nice loser. I was like, at least I won Rutgers, and I lost Kansas State. Come back.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because so Kansas State, like they were in that 3 touchdown hole, basically 27-7, getting blown out. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that Texas had like 2 or 3 fumbles in a row or something. It was something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
So they let Kansas State back into the game, and when you give Kansas State short fields, they're going to score points. They're not a bad team. I mean, Howard's a pretty decent quarterback. And I mean, a lot of people thought that Kansas State was going to win the Big 12 this year. I mean, everyone thought the Big 12 was loaded this year. Everyone thought, oh man, you have Texas, you have Oklahoma, you have Kansas State, you have Kansas was even doing well. But like, and then Kansas State lost to Missouri, and everyone went, oh, Kansas State just sucks. Oh, they're just terrible. They don't deserve to be even talked about, even mentioned. And then they went and lost to Oklahoma State, and it was like, well, Oklahoma State's terrible. So
that was the start of Oklahoma State's run. And I mean, I think Kansas State's kind of setting them up for the exact same thing they did last year.
Yep.
Wait, who won the Big 12 last year? Oh, it wasn't TCU. It was
Kansas State. Yep, correct.
Once again, they got 2 quarterbacks. It's
Yep.
Kleiman's doing his thing out there, man. Do his thing.
Other rundown of games, you had Louisville beat Virginia Tech in a blowout. You had Clemson almost blow a 31-9 lead against Notre Dame.
Who's still ranked despicable. How do you lose a 500 Clemson team and you only fall 5 spots?
Notre Dame effect. That's all it is. They have a lot of injuries right now, and they shouldn't be ranked. And I don't know if that's why they're ranked, because they have a lot of injuries. But no excuse. No excuses. I know you're 7-3. Doesn't matter. No excuses. Shouldn't be ranked anymore. Oregon State beat Colorado. I mean, Colorado gave it their best. They scored 2 late touchdowns to make it a 7-point game. But I mean,
they're getting dog walked.
Yeah. Once again,
I don't know what the kid's name is. I'm actually going to pull up right now because I'm setting my fantasy lineup to make sure Jawar Jordan's in. I got, where is it? Jay Coleman. What's his first name? Jonah Coleman, Arizona. They're playing him next week. He might run for 200 yards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he will. He might, yeah. We'll get to them real quick. Just want to big shout out. The Army keeps rolling along. Nice win over the Air Force or the Air Force.
I wanted Air Force to be a triple option, absolute nightmare scenario for one of those teams in the bowl game. Oh my! Like, can you imagine like Penn State Air Force in the Citrus Bowl? Oh,
I mean,
that'd been awesome, dude. The wing T versus the triple option.
I mean, as an Army guy, I was pretty happy to see Army beat Air Force and take them down, and the Commander-in-Chief trophy is still up for grabs, and it will be Army versus Navy again. So. I mean, Air Force could beat Navy and basically secure it for Army, so I'll be pretty happy with that. Outside of that, I mean, you had Tulane 8-1 escape with a win against Eastern Carolina.
Eastern Carolina is a respectable program.
Sorry, East Carolina. My bad. I no, but seriously. I said Eastern Carolina, and I know someone who went to East Carolina, and they get so mad when they're called Eastern Carolina.
Well, they'll be happy that I said they're a respectable program.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
They covered against Michigan.
quick touch on the SEC games. Texas A&M still didn't have a kicker. I don't know if you saw that field goal attempt by Texas A&M, but
no, my boy Lane got it done.
You're
doing it again this week.
I don't know that he necessarily got it done, but
a win's a win.
I'm a big fan of the Land Sharks. I'm a big fan of the Land Sharks, but
I think Confucius said that. So, listen.
I love Ole Miss. I mean, if I had to pick an SEC team, I want to go party at the Grove. I love Ole Miss. Oh, yeah. I'm a big Lane fan as well, so that helps.
The light blue.
And then we want to talk about the big game of the week, basically LSU Bama. I mean, LSU has no defense at all.
I saw this coming.
Everyone saw this coming. I don't understand how people did not think Bama was going to dog walk LSU, especially at home in Tuscaloosa.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of similarities between this game and the Penn State Michigan game. Obviously, venue side. The sexy pick is LSU. It's like, yep. Oh, they can do it. They can finally do it this year. It's like, dude, it's still Bama. And they're going to run down your throat with a better defense. I don't know.
And then we'll touch on.
Why is the spread only 3?
We'll touch
Sometimes on. Vegas is dumb.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? Vegas was real dumb. I believe who was favored in Washington, USC? Was it Washington?
USC was a 3.5-point dog.
Exactly, and that's where Vegas.
I literally picked USC against the spread because I said, "Why is the spread so low?"
No, I picked Washington because I thought they were going to dog walk USC because USC has no defense. And once again, Michael Penix went out there, and I mean, he didn't even have an amazing it wasn't like his stat line was something but it was. But here's the thing: Dylan Johnson had 256 yards. He averaged 9.8 yards per carry and had 4 touchdowns. 4. 9.8 yards per carry. I remember flipping from this game and another game, and I was flipping back and forth. And every time I got on, Washington seemed to have the ball, and they were just gashing them up the middle. 10 yards, 12 yards, 14 yards, 15 yards.
We need a moment of silence.
I know. Alex Grinch.
We're not allowed to beat Alex Grinch's skull in next year. Damn it.
I know. I'm very disappointed.
I wanted to see him against the Big Ten. Oh, it would have been fun.
And now I think our last game from this past week that I'd like to talk about, America's team. The newly ranked America's team. Pac-12 After Dark champs, 27-10 win. No, not a win, a domination and a fun team to watch.
They just keep doing it, man.
I don't know if you got to watch it, but I watched it as pretty much to end my night. I was just sitting back, and I'm going to tell you what, I will say this. We talked about it. I think all of us took Arizona this past week to cover the 2.5 and money line. Upset.
Or a wagon.
Like, I don't understand how it took them this long to get ranked. So 5-3, 4-2 in the conference. Or no, 6-3 now, 4-2 in the conference. The rest of their schedule, it kind of sets up with Colorado, Utah, and Arizona State. Now, what do they need to have happen for them to get into the playoffs? So, or to get into the Pac-12 championship game. Now, there's a lot that needs to happen, but I believe that if they have a 4-way tie between USC, Arizona, Oregon, and Oregon State, I believe that Arizona goes. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere where it's a 4-way tie. Arizona would go because of, I don't even remember what it was, but it was something like because they haven't been there for the longest time.
USC is going to lose, right? At least once more.
Well, here's where we need to become. Okay. Would you rather USC lose or Oregon lose to USC or Oregon State?
I think they can lose to both. I'm just trying to think here because Arizona is going to beat Utah and eliminate Utah.
Correct.
So we're going to what? 7-2 Arizona in conference.
Yep.
Washington can go undefeated. Who cares? Whatever. Because that Oregon State stuff that was ranked in the top 10 earlier this year, that's cute. Arizona State bad, Cal bad, Colorado bad. Who does Oregon play left? They have USC and Colorado and someone else?
They have USC, Arizona State, and Oregon State. They have 3 games.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, you could probably force a tiebreaker against them. Who does Oregon State have?
Oregon State has let's see. They have Stanford, Washington, and Oregon.
And they could
very easily crap.
This could
Oregon State has Stanford, Washington, and Oregon to end the year. Could you imagine having
set up nice for our Wildcats? Almost our Cougs. Wrong cat of prey.
The wrong cat of prey. Yeah, we're not cheering for BYU.
Or Washington State yet.
Yeah, or Washington State. I will go out. I think the best tiebreaker that they're going to be able to win. So they're going to have a 3-way tie. Ooh. So they've already lost to Oregon, right?
Arizona, I believe so.
No, they did not play Oregon.
Who did they lose? They lost to
USC and Washington back-to-back weeks.
And Mississippi State.
Oh, well, yeah, Mississippi State. Okay, so that's another thing. How far have they come from losing to Mississippi State?
Both teams.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the best way that they can make it in is going to be, I think it's a tiebreaker with Oregon that they hold the tiebreaker over because I believe if Oregon loses and they tie, it goes to the team who hasn't been to the Pac-12 championship or hasn't won a Pac-12 championship in the longest.
I kind of love that. That's better than our nonsense.
That used to be the way the Big Ten decided it because there was multiple years where we tied for a Big Ten title and we didn't go to the Rose Bowl because we tied 1998, I think it was. Yeah, 98. Wisconsin went to the Rose Bowl. We tied with them, and they went because they hadn't been in forever.
Fair enough. But yeah, maybe we'll get a lucky break for our Cougs here.
Yep.
Is there even other games really going on next week? I'm just trying to look at the Big Ten schedule. We have Northwestern, Wisco, Minnesota, Purdue, Maryland, Nebraska, Indiana, Illinois, Rutgers, Iowa with a over-under of 28.
Okay,
even lower than last week.
if we do get the under 28.5 Rutgers, Iowa, you know what? I honestly got to think that why is Iowa so favored?
I would say the exact opposite. Why is Rutgers only a point dog?
You think Iowa's going to win? I don't.
I'm like if you couldn't score on the red zone defense, if you're kicking field goals, settling for field goals against Ohio State, Iowa's just going to be suffocating you nonstop with punt death.
I get it. Let's run down it. Indiana, Illinois. Who really cares? To be honest, sorry guys.
Go Big Ten East.
Yeah. Well, let's go Indiana. Yeah, exactly. Let's go Indiana here. Maryland, Nebraska.
Go Big Red, please.
Let's go
back
Maryland.
for my tiebreaker if I need it.
Let's go Maryland. I need that for the tiebreaker. Rutgers, Iowa. Go Rutgers. Honestly, both of us, if it comes down to tiebreaker, both of us should be rooting for Rutgers. Yep.
Yeah.
I think
game
Rutgers
doesn't matter for us because we played, both of us played Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota, Purdue. Cool.
Look at that line. You want to talk about a rat line?
1 point. You know what? That is a total
hammer time on Purdue. They suck. Why are they only 1 point dog? 1 point favorite.
Minnesota's terrible.
They're not that bad. They're serviceable. Purdue is bad.
Minnesota lost to Illinois.
All right. So if you try to gas up Minnesota when you play them in 2 weeks, will you listen to me?
Oh, man.
I saw what you guys are trying to do with Rutgers. I saw that.
Okay, so big one affecting my tiebreaker with Penn State, Wisconsin, Northwestern. I need a win from Wisconsin here if we get to
Northwestern spread, not to win, but
no.
I'm taking. You shouldn't be. Yeah, Wisconsin's a 10-point favorite against anyone.
It'll not be a 10-point. Yeah, Wisconsin's not covering 10 points. Sorry, just not happening. Especially after Indiana, never happening. I think that this is like a 27-20 game. Mm-hmm. And then the one for me, Michigan State, Ohio State. History is actually, if it repeats itself, is not on our side. Like Zach was saying. So Michigan State has rolled in to Columbus 2 times when we've been ranked number 1. And both times Michigan State has beat us. Kind of a weird thing because we've been ranked number 1 quite a bit. It's only in Columbus. When we go to East Lansing and we've been number 1, we dominate them. 98, probably. We were going to win the BCS that year. It was the first inaugural BCS. We were hands down the best team. We beat a Michigan team that year that probably could have been the second or third best team in the whole country. And we drubbed them at home. It wasn't even close. We were rolling against Michigan State in 98 too. 24-7 and a punt, or 24-9, and a punt went off of we muffed a punt, and basically Michigan State took the lead 28-24. Basically it changed the whole momentum of the game. It was in the third quarter. We totally collapsed, drove down the field at the end of the game, tried to win it. Still to this day, never forget it, Joe Germain threw a pick, and I still think to this day, if he takes off and runs, he gets a touchdown and we win the game and we win the national title. Because we went to the bowl game. We played Texas A&M in the Sugar Bowl, who upset Kansas State. And, it wasn't even close. We dominated. Kind of a weird dynamic because going into that weekend, there was 4 undefeated teams in college football, or 3 undefeated teams in college football. And it ended up with 1 the last weekend of the season. UCLA lost to Miami, and that's when the U got their swagger back and went on their roll. They had a remake game from a hurricane that actually canceled the game earlier in the season. So in the first week in December, UCLA had to play at Miami and ended up losing. Yeah. And then Kansas State lost to Texas A&M in a huge, massive upset. Or we could have been talking about Kansas State being in the first BCS national championship game. Kansas State. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way. Texas A&M.
Those computers used to be sick, man.
Oh, yeah. And it came down to Ohio State and Florida State. It was Florida State, Tennessee. So Michigan State has another shot to kind of ruin the Buckeye season. Do I think they're going to do it? No. I don't think that – I think it's a shutout. I don't think Michigan State scores a point. Their offensive coordinator is terrible. They they could play some good defense. That's fine. I'm thinking like 42-0.
Yeah, I even have on here my lock of the week. I literally have it. Ohio State minus 38.5 max, the highest max I can get. Again, I know everyone always gets mad at me because I always bet on Ohio State. They're like, look, obviously I watch their games a lot because I'm studying it for my personal thing. Michigan State has one player that's good on their team, or two. Nate Carter's pretty good. He can move it on the ground. We've seen people run the ball on Ohio State a little bit. And they got a kicker that can kick 55-yarders. The other Kim on their team, kid's got an absolute cannon of a leg. Okay, he might get one on the board. I don't think this will be a shutout, but it'll be under 7.5. I mean, you can do under 7.5 over Ohio State team total and alternate spread. You get like plus 300 and then pick whoever you want to score. I mean, the fact that Marvin Harrison and Travion are both plus money for multiple touchdowns, I think is crazy. And then as for my game picks, I was just looking at them. We got Blake Corum minus 170. I think that's easy, and he scores in practically every game. He's the leading scorer in the country. 2 touchdowns plus 400. I don't hate either. But at least I appreciate that you're like, look, I understand that Michigan, Penn State's going to be a miracle. And if you look at all these people that are talking about it, their reasoning is hilarious. Like, you got Josh Pate. His reasoning is Michigan won't be able to run the ball. I'm like, yeah, well, we can throw it now. I know we normally can't. Yeah. And then you got Brandon Walker going, Michigan, people have given up on Penn State, so they're going to win the game. No one can give you an actual reason why. Like, again, barring JJ goes full psychopath, whatever. And people, this is my favorite thing. They're like, someone literally said this the other day. I forgot who it was. Someone on ESPN. They're like, well, JJ McCarthy, traditionally hasn't done that good on the road. He hasn't really gone against a hostile environment. Brother, he went into the shoe and won. Say what you want. It was a few broken coverages, clearly. But that mental block is gone. I don't know. I would be stunned if this game is close, let alone we lose. I know I'm probably, again, walking into a rake here. I said the exact same thing when you guys played them. Like, this Penn State team is not what they were hyped up to be.
Yeah, and I mean, even when we played them, look, it was 20.
You were in control the whole time.
It was 20-6. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, Kyle McCord fumbled the ball, and I'm like, yeah, but also
exactly.
He
and you killed him.
And even if he would have fumbled the ball and you guys, then that touchdown would have counted, I still feel like we would have beat you. I still feel like we would have. Yeah, and they're like, no,
up the goal line.
Momentum would have been there. I'm like, I want to be like, it's your fault you guys held. It's literally your fault you guys held Cade Stover like that. It was a obvious, clear holding. And yeah, of course, Kyle didn't see that and stuff like that. And the play happened. But I mean, those things kind of happen in any kind of football, not just college. So I mean, look, I think that you guys, like I said, I am closer to saying 45-7 Michigan than 23-20 Penn State. But like I said, I will stick to my
No, I get it.
23-20. Other games this week, Bama, Kentucky. Bama's starting to roll. Bama's starting to get it together. But
take every Milroe touchdown prop and every run prop because if you can't stop Tennessee's run game.
Yep, exactly. Oh, yeah. I mean, Kentucky, just not good.
Milroe's going to play himself in that Heisman discussion. I hope people are ready for it because he played like crap earlier in the year. He's good. I mean, the fact that he's almost got the same odds as JJ is kind of nuts.
Few other games hit on. America's team plays at 2 p.m. Arizona at Colorado. Right. I don't know that I'm taking the 10.5 to Arizona to cover, which I hate doing. I might wait for this game to get going and then live bet it when it's
Colorado. The wheels have fallen off.
When
you're demoting your offensive coordinator and you're promoting Pat Shurmur, you're on serious.
Let's just put it this way.
Their players have been scrapping all week in practice.
Let's just put it this way. When you're promoting Pat Shurmur, I know this man very well, and he's not a good football coach. He's not a good offensive coordinator. He had all the talent in the world, and that's why he was good. Trust me, he's not a good football coach.
Utah, Washington points.
I still don't know about 10.5. That seems like a lot. I think that they probably win by 10, maybe something like that.
Yeah, late score. I mean, 10's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Half.
I guess you could call it a big rivalry kind of game. Florida State, Miami. Miami's trash again. Florida State's probably going to roll. It's 14.
You get frisky. I'd like to see because Florida State has had some fraud-like tendencies earlier in the season, and they've seemed like they've kind of settled down. Then you got another good game, Utah, Washington.
Washington is going to do the same thing Oregon did to Utah, and it's not going to be close. The only thing is Washington might not have good defense, but Utah has no offense. No offense.
They got safeties at running back. It's a nightmare. Pig Farmer at quarterback.
Yep. Tennessee, Missouri. I don't even know what to make of this game. I don't know what to make of this game because I really want to believe in Tennessee, but there's a part of me that is like thinking and looking in the back of my head going, there's still that Tennessee road game at Florida that haunts me.
Tennessee cannot stop the pass, and if Luther Burden's playing, you take Mizzou. If Luther Burden's not playing, which they think he's not, you hammer Tennessee. It's as simple as that. He is one player that's good enough to do that. I mean, dude's going to probably be a Blitnikoff finalist, rightfully so. He's that good.
Outside of that, you have the pretty much the only other games I can think of that are pretty big is Ole Miss and Georgia.
That's the only game I care about left. The rest of them are all like whatever.
Well, we got Oregon USC too, which I think Oregon. I mean,
spread's like what 20 now.
Oregon at home, the line is 15. Oregon, I don't know. It is.
Those of you that have Bucky Irving in fantasy, God bless. Someone said earlier in the chat, God bless.
It is Pac-12 after dark, but is this Bo Nix's Heisman moment this week? I mean, is this his Heisman moment?
What did I say to you guys of like 3 weeks ago? Not you guys, just the podcast. I said Bo Nix 30-1 is crazy. He is currently like plus 200. And I would like to say, if you think Michigan's going to win, it's probably going to be through JJ throwing it, even though I think it will unleash the ground game a lot. JJ 16-1 is worth it as well.
I'm going to say Bo Nix has over 400 yards passing this week.
Oh, yeah. I actually want to see what his line's at. But while we do that, we can talk about Ole Miss, Georgia. What do you think?
Man, I keep looking at Georgia, and I keep going, man, no Brock Bowers. Like, how are they going to move the ball? Man, it's just
week. He might be back this week. He's questionable. How the hell is that possible?
I have no idea, but
I'll say this. Through a cup, right? He would piss through a cup right now.
I mean, okay, so I'm just gonna say this. Jackson Dart, is he gonna be able to get it done? I don't know, but he's gonna have to have a stat line like he had against Texas A&M. And the thing is, I don't think he can do that against this Georgia team. This Georgia team is actually the D line for Georgia is not as good as it was in the past, but their defensive backfield is outstanding.
Yep. They flipped the last few years. They flipped completely.
Outstanding. And that's the thing. And it's like, you have Ole Miss here who is not the greatest at running the ball. So I'm a little.
And they got Judkins.
Judkins, I mean, he can get some stuff. I mean, he's a touchdown animal. I'll say that. But I mean, he also he's on a streak right now of 3 straight 100-yard plus games. Does he keep that up against this Georgia team? I mean, if he does, then maybe if they turn this into a shootout, I do think they cover the 10.5.
Agreed.
And I do think it's over. I think it's over. But I think it's kind of one of those. I think it's going to be a Missouri style game where it's like a lot more high scoring, but it's going to be like a 42 to 38 kind of game. But it's going to be like 42-31 with like 2 minutes left, and Ole Miss is going to score a touchdown and get it real close, and everyone's going to sit there and go, "Oh man, onside kick time! Can they do it?" Or kick it away. They have 3 timeouts left. Well, I forgot Lane's the coach, so they won't have 3 timeouts left. But onside kick time, and everyone's going to be on their hands going, "Oh my gosh, do we recover this?" Other than that, I think Georgia still wins, but I think it's like very, very high scoring, 42-38. But if Dart goes out there and he can put up yardage on them and they can have over 400 yards of offense like they did against A&M, who knows? Maybe they control the game. And
their defense has really started. This is the best defense Lane's had at an Ole Miss team in a long time. And I'm not totally moved by Georgia. I mean, Missouri had them on the ropes at times. Obviously, they still won, clearly. But I think this is going to be a classic Lane game. Ole Miss will be winning in the first half. Okay? Ole Miss money line at halftime. They'll be winning at halftime. He always does it. He always is winning at halftime, and they find a way to fumble it. And I think we kind of get to see that. I think Ole Miss will be up at least a score at least 1 point in this game. And they have the capability to run it out if needed. Dart's legs are going to be a huge impact in this game. If he's got like 80 or so rush yards, then I think we're going to be in for a very fun late game. Hopefully I'm able to get home and see this one at the hotel in State College. But it's almost too obvious. I always say that to beat teams like Georgia, need to come out of nowhere, like that Missouri game last year, right? I think like Georgia Tech sneaky has like the best chance of beating them because it's going to be out of nowhere. And I wish this game was at the Grove. I know the Tennessee game is going to get home. It'd be totally different if it was there.
Oh man, the Grove would be rocking. Here's the thing: Ole Miss has this weird thing where when they have a home game against someone big, they always it goes down to the wire. But they can never play on the road. Never play on the road. And they did that under Hugh Freeze for years. I mean, look at how many times they beat Bama. And then the year when they won at Bama, they beat Bama, 2 or 3 years in a row or something? It was like something crazy. But they beat them 2 times out of 3, or 2 out of the 3 times was like at the Grove, at Ole Miss. I mean, it's great when they're at home, but like that year also they beat at Alabama. They had already 2 losses on that season. There was no expectations. This is a pretty big game for Ole Miss because if you get this win, correct me if I'm wrong, they still have a shot, an outside shot to win the West, correct?
They would be tied for first, losing the tiebreaker head-to-head to Bama.
Well,
so they'd need a Bama loss.
Well, they would need to have Bama lose to Kentucky and then Bama lose to Auburn.
They need a loss from Bama, I think, right?
No, they need 2 because they lost. They would need the tiebreaker. They need 2. So they need 2 losses from Bama. Am I saying it's going to happen? Probably not, because a
win guarantees New Year's 6. A close loss, I think you're still on the fringe.
You think it only guarantees a New Year's 6 because if you have
they go 11-1, I mean that's a New Year's 6 guaranteed.
Okay, I'm just saying hypothetically speaking.
No, there's too many teams.
You're telling me that if there's certain teams that win games, lose games, and you're sitting there with hypothetically 11-1 Georgia, 11-1 Ole Miss,
They'd put an 11-1 near you over one of these SEC teams.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't think they put. I think they might put you in.
Depending on this weekend. Like if we shit pump Penn State, like I think we're going to, I think it kind of locks in at least one of us potentially backing in if needed. But there's so many good teams this year. I mean, like Florida State is in regardless. Pac-12 is pretty much in regardless. I mean, unless our darling Arizona.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. We've already discussed Louisville. Louisville loses another game on the way to the ACC title game against Kentucky. They play Kentucky last, correct?
Yeah, I think they have Kentucky and Miami, and they play Virginia Tech in about 10 minutes.
Okay, so let's say hypothetically Louisville loses to Kentucky and then beats Florida State in the ACC title game. Who are you taking, Florida State or Ole Miss?
Florida State, champion, gotta go.
No. I said they lose the ACC title game.
I mean, there'd be so many other teams in there.
I know. I
mean, Ole Miss would have to be the third team in.
But do you understand how mad Ole Miss?
Unless Ole Miss wins.
If Ole Miss goes 11-1,
that'd be fun.
I mean, the playoff committee would have so much to think about, because if Ole Miss gives Georgia their first loss in 2+ years, and Georgia still wins the SEC, but they don't let Ole Miss in after they won at Athens. I
think you take Bama in over Ole Miss, maybe.
But if Bama loses the SEC title game to Georgia, they have 2 losses then.
Yeah.
It's very, 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 very murky there. But let's see if Ole Miss wins first. Let's see if they win, because I don't think they do. I think that it's one of those games where you are.
I hope they do, man. Come on, Lane.
I do. I do too. It would be amazing, but it's just going to be a very interesting weekend of college football. I mean, there pretty much you have the Big Ten matchup and the SEC matchup. You have 2 SEC matchups, which is kind of shocking because the conference is down, and somehow LSU is still ranked 19th and they're 6-3. I'm not sure how you keep LSU in the top 20 with the way their defense is, the way they got dominated by Bama, the way they got dominated by Florida State, and the way they gave up 55 points to Ole Miss. That's not a top 20 team. I will say this, as far as a look forward to bowl season, the Big Ten East teams that are going to play the SEC teams, I hope, we might dominate the SEC. Hell, the Big Ten West teams might dominate the SEC because the SEC might not be able to score. But I have the ultimate matchup. I either need to see Iowa play USC in a bowl game, or I need to see Iowa play LSU. Because I really want to see.
It would stink because no way Davis plays in the bowl, or Daniels plays in the bowl game. But
Citrus Bowl right now, I believe, is LSU Iowa. So
honestly, Ole Miss Iowa would be awesome.
No, Ole Miss has a good enough defense now. They have a good enough defense now that Iowa couldn't score. LSU still has not figured out their defense.
Yeah.
Iowa USC would be great. But other than that, I don't know if you watch your Michigan hockey boys this week. I believe Wisconsin swept them.
I think so, yeah. I don't really get into hockey like that until
we got swept by Sparty, so I'm sure Zach would be gloating about it right now. Congrats, Zach.
He had his opportunity, missed it. So.
Yeah, I know he did. I figured he was, but he missed his opportunity. Other than that,
that's all I got.
Have fun in Happy Valley.
Absolutely. Have fun with Zach.
Will do.
See you guys.